July 23rd, 2015. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 77 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
One of the things we love hearing about is an advantage play that's like so huge that you can't believe it.
Yeah.
It seems like we always find out about them after the fact. It's not like we find out about them when they're going on.
We're not in the loop.
That's right.
Really. You have to be in the loop.
We're not in the AP loop. And, obviously if an advantage player finds something really juicy, they don't want to make it known. Maybe a small circle of close friends, that kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, one of them came up recently. Now, Elliot Jacobson is a guy who runs a blog called AP Heat. He's kind of a math guy, and he's sort of a consultant in a way for casinos.
Oh, to casinos.
Yeah, kind of. He's sort of the enemy of advantage players, or that's too strong a word. He's at odds with advantage players, if I can use a pun.
So he's trying to make them disadvantaged?
No, what he does...
Or alert the casino that there's some advantage play going on.
Yeah, he likes finding mistakes, advantage plays that maybe the casino's not aware about, or math that's calculated wrong, that kind of thing. Uh-huh. He likes finding that out and informing people.
He makes a living at this?
Well, I get to a certain extent,
really?
But I'm not sure exactly what he does for a living, but this is a blog that he runs. I think he does a certain amount of consulting. Anyway, so recently he posted about a baccarat side bet that was being offered at Palace Station in Las Vegas. Okay?
All right.
The bet was called the Quick Hits Bet, a side bet. And it would win or lose depending on what the combined total of the players' and bankers' hands was. So remember, in baccarat, a hand can be anywhere between 0 and 9.
Right.
Right.
So two hands, both being 9 would be 18.
Right.
And both being 0 would be 0.
Right. So anywhere between 0 and 18 would be the sum of the two hands, right?
Yeah, it seems like the casinos love these side bets.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
because
of course.
They're usually a big house edge.
Usually a huge house edge. They're usually fun. I mean, if they're doing it right, it's a fun bet.
Thing, right. And a lot of people bet them, so the house makes way more. They probably on some of these make more money on the side bet than they do actually on the game itself.
Sure. Well, think about, the fire bet at craps, right?
Right. Oh,
they're making way more money on the fire bet than they're making on the pass line. Well, that might be an exaggeration because you can bet a lot more on the pass line, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right. Percentage-wise, definitely more.
Percentage-wise, it's not even close. It's like 25 to 1.
Right.
But anyway, so you would win or lose depending on what the total of the combined total of the players in the bank's hands were, right?
Okay.
So you'd make this bet. If the total was anywhere between 4 and 14.
Including 4 and 14?
Including 4 and 14, the bet lost. Okay. If the total was 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, or 17, the bet would pay 2 to 1. Okay. If the combined total was 18, it would pay 26 to 1. And if the combined total was 0, it would pay 51 to 1.
Why more for 0?
Well, because think about it. If you get like a natural, if you both get 9s,
right,
that's going to happen a lot more than taking cards and ultimately ending up with 0.
Right. You can be dealt a natural, but when you're dealt 0, you take a card and you're probably going to end up with something.
Right. So it's a lot harder to get a 0. Right. Okay. So those were the payouts. It's unclear how long this side bet was available. Now, Elliot Jacobson on his site claimed that it was more than a month. But anyway, a poster over at the Wizard of Vegas forum started a thread about the bet. And the next day, Jacobson went to Palace Station to check it out. Now, when he ran the numbers, he discovered that the bet had over a 10% edge in favor of the player.
Wow.
More than 10%.
And why was that? It was because of the 2 to 1 payouts?
Well, yeah. I mean, let's talk about that, right? Again, the payouts were 2 to 1 for 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, 17, 26 to 1 for 18. That's sort of an odd payout, right? 26 to 1.
Yeah, you think 25 to 1.
Yeah, right. 51 to 1 for a 0. Okay. So that's exactly what the case was, right? The printout actually said, 51 to 1, 26 to 1. It should have said 51-4-1.
I gotcha.
26-4-1.
So
right?
50 to 1 and 25 for 1.
Yes, right.
And then what would 2 to 2?
Oh,
2-2-1. It would be 2-4-1.
Yeah, it's just even money.
Even money bets.
Yeah, right.
So that's where they were making most of your money.
Exactly. So that's where the huge edge for the player came was those ones that they were paying it 2-1.
Right. Instead of
should
just
have been
getting
even money. Right, exactly. So he discovered this. Now,
when it's even money, so most of them you're going to lose.
Yeah.
There's a few you get just even money.
Yeah.
And then you have two big payouts, but they rarely come up. So it didn't seem like a very fun bet.
Well, I mean, even money is a winner. It's not like it's 1-4-1. It's 1-2-1.
Right? It's on those side bets, it's more exciting when you win more than you bet.
Sure, of course. Right? Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, even money, it's kind of like, well, okay, if I won $5 there, why not just make my bet $5 more?
Sure, I know.
Right?
I mean, that's the way yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, he discovered this problem. It was actually printed on the felt wrong, right? And so anyway, unfortunately, Jacobson let the casino know about the mistake, and this huge AP play was gone. But, somebody just posted to Wizard of Vegas, hey, check out this bet. Didn't realize that it was a moneymaker if maybe he'd kept his mouth quiet and
probably
investigated it himself.
Something they hadn't seen.
Yeah, I think he was just thinking, gosh, 51-1 payout. Isn't that strange? And kind of, I wonder if you could count this, count the cards and get an advantage. Well, he didn't need to count cards.
Right.
Over 10%. And it to show you what a big difference it makes, especially 2-1 versus 2-4-1. With the correct payouts, the house edge is about 8%.
Right. So it way flipped in the other direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so I wonder if anyone out there made some money at this.
You see, it's impossible to tell. Nobody's claiming that they did, and
no casino. They didn't post anything.
No, it's kind of unclear how long it was actually out there. And honestly, maybe there are more tables out there. So
maybe the printer printed them up.
Yeah, it could be. So this may still be an advantage play.
Yeah.
I'd say go out to your local casino and see if it's there, and keep your mouth shut.
I wonder
milk it for as much as you can.
Up, the printer or the person who sent them the stuff to print.
Yeah, that's a good question.
If it's the casino, that's terrible.
I was looking at some rules online. I can't remember where I saw them, but it was like some Nevada. I don't know if it was the gaming board or what, but I saw the rules, and it was very clear. 51-4-1,
right.
26-4-1,
Right.
Now, why would you even use the term 4? 4 always confuses people, right? When you say, 50-1, it's clear, right?
Right. Just say 50-1. Yeah. Why say 51-4-1?
Yeah. Anyway, so it's here and gone, but, maybe go out to your local casino or somewhere.
Yeah.
Find out if they have it. Keep a low profile. Don't milk it too bad, but,
Yeah, whisper because, if somebody's listening and their friends are around,
That's right. You don't want them to hear even though we've been screaming, up to this point. Hey, we wanted to talk about something we discussed last time, because I think we really confuse people. A lot of times when we're explaining things, we kind of go off on a tangent, or we get so boggled down with the...
Right. It makes sense to us because in our head we make sense to ourselves.
Right.
But it doesn't come out making sense.
Last time we were talking about taking even money at blackjack. And here's the point that we were trying to make. This was really the bottom line, is that if you're playing at a 6-5 blackjack table and you are dealt blackjack and the dealer is showing an ace, you cannot ask for even money.
Right. You can't do it.
You cannot do it. Exactly. Now, Victor was told by a dealer that he could, and that dealer was wrong. We verified it with our dealer friend of ours.
Right.
So,
it doesn't make sense, really.
Right. No, and that's what we were trying to go through with all our explanation about how insurance works and that kind of thing. If you are at a 6-5 table and the dealer offers you even money, then go ahead and take it.
Right. Sure.
But the point is that at a 6-5 blackjack table, you cannot ask for even money when you have blackjack and the dealer's showing an ace.
The important thing to remember in this whole thing, and this goes out to all the children out there. You know who you are. You're 11 and 9.5 years old.
All right.
Who are listening to our show regularly.
Sure.
Don't play 6-5 blackjack.
Right.
Then it's not a problem.
Yep.
You never have to worry about insurance if you're never at a 6-5 blackjack table.
Yep.
And in the future, that may mean never playing blackjack.
That's true.
But play at home against your dad, who will offer 3-2 as usual.
Excellent. The more you know. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, when you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the cost of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. Say, how's it been at the craps table, Mike?
Well, not too bad, actually. The last few weeks have been pretty decent.
Good.
I do have a great story, though.
And this happened when you were, I wasn't there with you.
No, this happened a couple weeks ago. You weren't there.
Okay.
And I went, and I wasn't going to play very long, but I decided, I'll just play a little bit. I walk up to the table, and it's a $25 table. And, it's not full, so it was easy to get on. But there was a guy shooting, and he was kind of had started his roll. I don't know how much he had rolled before that, but he had already made 1 point.
Okay.
And he was working on his second point. And, I don't like to just throw my money down while the guy's in the middle of a roll.
Sure, right.
But if he makes his point before he comes out with a new one, I will buy in at that point.
Yeah, sure. Then it's a come out roll. Nobody's scared
right,
of
and there's usually a lot of stuff to do,
right.
So it doesn't, it's not going to slow the game down that much.
Right.
So anyway, he made his second point, and I proceeded to buy in and bet. Sure enough, he came out on a new number, made his third point. Then came out on a new number, made his fourth point.
Unique points?
Unique points.
Okay, so he's on his way to a fire bet.
Right. I think he repeated a number there at some point too. So it's a good roll for me.
Sure, even though you're a little late.
I'm thinking, oh, great, I missed the fire bet.
Yeah.
Then sure enough, he makes his fourth point, at which point one of the dealers says, yeah, right, you missed the fire bet. And there was only 3 people on it, surprisingly enough, the shooter and 2 other people.
Okay.
So, it's still like, oh, well, he made 4. Then he comes out on his 5th number and makes his 5th point.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, holy crap.
Yeah.
Why does this happen to me? I mean, if I'd been like 5 minutes earlier.
No, quit whining.
Yeah, I know it wouldn't have been the same, but it's, in my mind, I like to think if I got there earlier, I would have made
continue.
it. So he makes his 5th number. And then I don't remember the sequence or what the number was. Oh, it was an 8. He needed an 8.
He needed an 8. Okay.
For his last one. And he came out on something else, but he made that.
Okay.
And then he came out again, and sure enough, came out on 8.
Okay, so he's on his 6th number.
He's working on his 6th number for his fire bet.
Yeah.
Well, he rolled a couple rolls, made, whatever, 5, 9, something like that. And then he rolled, and 3 came up on the cards.
Okay.
Now, this is at Harrah's Southern California, so it's a card-based. Yeah. I don't know what the dice were, but 3 came up on the cards.
Right.
And so, didn't hurt a person on the table.
Right. Nobody was in the cum.
Nobody was in the cum. They were all place bettors. Yeah. Didn't hurt anybody.
Okay.
So he picks the dice up, rolls them again. They flip over the cards. Another 3.
Okay.
2 3s, right?
Okay.
Again, hurt nobody.
Sure.
Because nobody
had
like
a wasted roll.
It's like a wasted roll.
Yeah.
They slide the dice back to the shooter, and he says, new dice.
Uh-huh.
He wanted new dice.
Okay.
And as he's picking them up, I'm thinking, and I'm sure everyone else on the table is, what the hell is going through his mind? It's not like the dice went off the table or anything happened. Just 3 came up on the cards twice. He picks up the dice, rolls them down. They flip the cards 7 out. And to me, it really didn't matter too much.
Well, because you're not on the fire bet. But
I'm not on the fire bet. So, I lost my money on the line, but he had made a bunch of points. I was still a winning roll for me.
Yeah.
A very good roll, actually.
Yeah.
But the other 2 guys who were on the fire bet just looked at him like, what the heck? And the funny thing is, he had laid against the 8.
Right, because his last number, sure.
Because it was the last number. Yeah. And it wasn't a huge lay. He didn't have that much money out there on the table. He just put like $350 against it.
Yeah.
And he's still going to get 5 numbers, which is like $1,200, right?
Yeah, right.
$1,250. But anyway, new dice. What was he thinking?
It's so funny because it's sort of the opposite of the superstitions. Like when the dice go off the table, same dice.
Right.
Whatever. But he thought, I better ask for new dice. And again, we know it doesn't matter. He could have 7'd out if he hadn't asked for new dice. Or he could have made his 8 if he asked for new dice. But just the fact that it's going through his head, boy, I better call for new dice right now. 2 3s in a row.
Silly.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. 2 3s in a row is a bad sign for him, I guess. The other 2 guys were furious. They talked about it for quite a while. I just keep my mouth shut, kind of laughing inside. It was almost worth losing my bet just to tell this story.
Yeah, because you're thinking, well, I've got a story for the podcast. Yeah, I'm happy.
Oh my God. I'll never get over that. New dice. And he seems so confident. Yeah, give me new dice. There's only 4 dice on the table, too, which is another thing. Some places you go, they'll have 6 or
5 or 6 dice.
Or an odd number. They'll have 5 dice. That, it's a regular craps.
Yeah.
But no, there's only 4 dice on the table. So he gets rid of those two, gets the other two, 7 out. I mean, it was like clockwork.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, we got an email from listener Brett. He has put together a spreadsheet that keeps track of your expenses during a gambling trip. It's a spreadsheet. It generates tables that kind of help you organize how much you spent on certain games and how long you've played those games, and keeps track of like non-gambling expenses, all that kind of thing. I took a look at it. It's actually pretty cool. It's very complete. And you can fill it out using the Google Sheets app if you want to do it like on the go on your phone. So you could do it in real time when you're on a trip, fill it out, and it kind of organizes everything. And it's kind of cool. I'm going to post a link to it in our show notes. It's just right up there on Google. Everybody can access it and take a look. Let us know what you think.
Well, things like that are good. My advice would be to do that. I wouldn't do it.
Well, you wouldn't be able to handle it.
No,
You'd mess it up.
first of all, I mess it up.
Yeah.
Second of all, it depressed me when I looked at it. It'd be like, holy crap. And it would just make me want to bet more to recoup what I've lost, right?
Well, now let me ask you this. At the beginning of the year, you said you were going to be keeping track of every single bet you made. I mean, every session you were going to keep track.
I did it for a couple of months and then gave up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah,
amazing.
You're surprised.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've got it all up here.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And I'm not pointing to my head.
All right, let's go on to our voicemail hotline. Remember, call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS.
951-2-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First, let's hear from DJ.
What's going on, guys? It's DJ from St. Paul. Love the show and glad you guys are going to be at Zimph. Hopefully we can shoot some dice at Golden Gate prior to the icebreaker. That was a ton of fun last year. So I'm calling regarding this 6-5 blackjack. I had thought this was something exclusive to Vegas, but we went up to this harness track right north of St. Paul called Running Aces. Now it's one of these racetracks that opened up in '08, and I think it was basically they were hoping to get slot machines, and that didn't really politically happen. So they have this racetrack and card room, poker room, so they have blackjack there. And when you walk in, there's this big sign that says, we have 3-2 blackjack, but they also advertise we have $2 blackjack 24/7. So I went up to one of these tables. Now, inside the grandstand, they have just 3 tables sort of as a satellite setup. 2 were $5, one was $2. And I asked, so what do these pay? Because there weren't any placards or nothing really on the felt. And the guy goes, oh, well, the $2 table pays 6-5 and the $5 tables pay 3-2. So I kind of thought this was odd because they have this promotion on their website for, it says, all blackjack games that pay 6-5 offer these promotions. Suited 6, 7, and 8 pays 2-1. 777 pays 2-1, and a 6-card no bust pays 1-1, even money. So I'm not sure exactly what the odds are for the player here, but I just think it's kind of troubling that this is starting to go into casinos and or racetracks or card rooms outside of Vegas. So I thought that was kind of odd. Now, what also was funny about this, at the $2 table, there were just about everyone at the table. I counted 5 people. It was full. My girlfriend and I just wanted to get on the play, just cheat for a litlittle bit. But they were playing $4 hands. So they had just the 4 singles stacked up when they could have gone to the $5 table for a buck more and got better odds, unless I guess these promotions pay more. And then speaking of the 6-5, I saw the Facebook question, should we boycott the Strip? I'm not even sure it's really a boycott at this point because I just seem to have more fun downtown, getting better offers. Even downtown Grand, people are saying it's 6-5. Was there a couple weeks ago. Everything there looked like it was 3-2. So that's kind of where I'm at. Love the podcast, guys. Take care.
Yeah, thanks, DJ. It's funny. He was saying that when he went up to the $2 table, it didn't say how much blackjack paid. Right. Remember the same thing happened when we went up to Pechanga.
Right.
We went up to a table. I think it was a $15 minimum.
It was a $15 minimum. Yeah. I asked her, what does blackjack pay?
Yeah, and she immediately pointed to the felt. Yeah. Kind of like, come on, guys, use your eyes. And she pointed to it. It's like, oh, there was nothing there.
Yeah, she points to it. And I'm like, that doesn't tell me what it pays. It said insurance.
Yeah, right. It
Right.
insurance pays 2 to 1.
Yeah, it didn't say anything about what blackjack pays.
Yeah. She finally said, "Oh yeah, it's 3 to 2," because I guess it was a $15 table there.
Maybe she thought, you idiot, we offer insurance, so it has to be 3 to 2.
No, they still offer insurance at the 6 to 5 table. You just can't get even money at a 6 to 5. Oh, great. Now we've muddled the whole thing again, right? We're going to get more calls.
All right, just erase that last part.
Yeah, all right, I'll edit it out. Yeah, so he's talking about how the 6 to 5 tables have these special promotions, right? 6, 7, 8 suited and 7, 7.
Right.
Those don't come close to offsetting
no.
the 6 to 5.
Well, they're so hard to get.
Yeah, they are. It really is.
3 sevens, right?
It's true. We play AC-doocy in our home game, right? And we also have a rule where if you get like 6, 7, 8 suited, you get part of our jackpot. It rarely comes up. Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you're playing $4 on a 6 to 5, what's that pay when you get blackjack?
Well, see, that's the thing too. Some of these casinos that are paying 6 to 5 on real low minimums, they might not have coins, to pay off because, $1 should pay $1.20, right?
Right. And they're not going to have dimes on the table.
A lot of them don't. So they just pay even money. So it could even be worse than that. So I don't know if a $2 table at this place that DJ went to, I wonder if they'd pay $2.40. I wonder if they have coins on the table to pay it.
I almost guarantee no. That'd be too big a hassle.
Well, then,
especially dimes, they're cumbersome, right?
Maybe they pay up to like a quarter amount or something like that.
Maybe they'd pay a quarter. Yeah,
it'd still be worse.
I have seen quarters on a table.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever seen dimes on a table?
No, I've never seen dimes on a table.
No, I mean, I've seen quarters and 50-cent pieces.
Yeah.
And even quarters are a little annoying.
Sure. But I mean, if you are at a $5 table, they have 50-cent pieces. That's typically what it is. Right. But quarters aren't that uncommon, really, I guess. I don't know.
When they, nowadays,
I guess I'm probably
you don't
wrong.
see it too much.
Yeah.
We're thinking back 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, that's
when
true.
They did have quarters. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if they did have dimes, you know what you would do? Get a blackjack. Take your 20 cents or 40 cents and just toss it in the trash. That's what I would do. Just toss it right in the trash.
You wouldn't make a tip for the dealer?
No, toss it in the trash. And let them know what you think about that.
Now, the other thing that DJ was talking about, I posted to Twitter and Facebook recently. I said, is it time to boycott the Strip? Because we kept getting these terrible conditions for not just blackjack 6 to 5 tables, but also the terrible video poker pay tables.
Yeah.
Tony Snyder from the Vice Lounge Online podcast, he attended the 360 Vegas vacation, and he said that they went to the bar 3535 at the Link, and he was playing jacks or better. It was 6-5. Jacks are better. 6-5. That means
that's so terrible.
6 credits for a full house and 5 for a flush. 6-5. It's just 9-6 is full pay.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how bad it's gotten. Now, in addition, John Mahaffey tweeted recently that he went all the way down the Las Vegas Strip and went to all the MGM casinos, so all the M Life casinos, right?
Okay.
To count how many 3 to 2 blackjack tables under $25 he could find. Okay. He found 3 total.
Wow.
In all the casinos. He said he found 2 at New York, and 1 at Mirage.
They were probably $15 tables.
It's possible. Yeah, right. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I tweeted this and people were responding, go downtown or whatever. Some people were saying, well, at least you can still play craps and poker on the Strip.
I don't know about craps.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened with the craps?
Yeah, you told me that.
So we heard that at Wynn and Encore, they have reduced their craps tables to double odds.
Double odds. I will never play there.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I play double odds at Wynn or Encore? I mean, seriously, I can go so many other places on the Strip and get 3, 4, 5.
At least
I can go downtown and get 5 and 10 and 20.
I just hope this isn't the shape of things to come.
Yeah,
that's just as we see it happen to blackjack and video poker. Now we see it to craps. Maybe they're going to go to double odds. Maybe they're going to start charging the VIG for buying the 4 and 10 up front, and kind of go backwards.
The part that got me when you told me that is you said they did have one table that still had 3, 4, 5. It was a $500 minimum bet.
That's right. Yeah.
$500 minimum bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I have $150,000 to buy in for, then I can get 3, 4, 5 odds.
Yeah.
I mean, can I just go to Golden Gate?
Right, exactly. Just play 10 times odds and bet whatever you want.
I bet whatever I want. If I was downtown, if I was seriously casino downtown, I'd be making room for more craps tables.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, I'd be making more room. I'd see how we could expand out into the street.
Well, I agree. Downtown is really becoming, at least as far as gambling goes,
right.
The place to play in Vegas. But here's the thing. With the Strip getting so bad, why would people even go to Vegas now to gamble when they've probably got a tribal casino close to them?
Exactly.
Where they're getting 10 times odds, full pay video poker, right?
Right.
They're getting better odds at their local casino than Vegas. Yeah.
Right. So, why would you go? Yeah. I mean, you know what they want? They want the kid to come there, wants to pick up some girls and go to the club and pay a big old fee to get in the club. And then buy a bunch of drinks and everything. And then, when he's hammered at 3 a.m. or whenever the club closes, he can go play some 6 to 5 blackjack.
Yeah,
and lose his last $100.
Right. I mean, that's what's happening, right? Is the non-gambling revenue in Las Vegas is going up, gambling is going down. So they're thinking, that's fine. We're making money on these nightclubs and restaurants and what have you. But what can we do to make more money at the table? I'll just, make the rules horrible.
Make the rules horrible. And some of these yahoos that don't know how to play will still play.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And the good gamblers will just go somewhere else. Yeah. Like downtown or to their local casinos, which is probably good for the local casinos.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear from Josh. On the last episode, listener Mitchell talked about a drunk player who wanted to leave the poker table with all his chips, but still have his seat reserved when he came back. And we talked about that last time.
Right, whether this pitch should let him do it or not.
Right, so Josh has something to say about that.
Hey guys, Josh from St. Louis. I just got finished listening to the last podcast on ADP. I just had a comment on the poker player at the Golden Nugget. I never understand why poker players decide they need to follow the rules by the letter of the law. If you have a rich guy there that's willing to throw around thousands of dollars to you, and he wants to go and eat some dinner and take his chips with you and come back with those, let him go. Let him go. Keep it friendly and make him come back. There is no reason to run off a drunk amateur who is willing to throw around thousands of dollars. It makes no sense, and I've seen it so many times, and it's so frustrating. I know it's not the rules, and I know it's maybe not fair, but let him go and let him come back and give you all of his money.
Yeah, and like we talked about last episode, even though it's technically wrong for this player to leave,
right,
and have his seat reserved and take his chips with him. It's not like he had all of the players' money, like he'd won all this money from the players.
No, he brought this money.
He brought it with him, right? And the rule is really in place to prevent people from doing that. Either rat holing or, walking away from the table and then, signing up again and going back to the same table and cashing in for fewer chips.
If you're playing on that table, you obviously realize this guy's not doing any of that.
Yeah.
He's just drunk. Just let him go and let him come back and bring those chips back.
You guys should say, absolutely. Everybody at the table, have a nice dinner, whatever you're going to do. We're looking for, you're a great guy. We're looking forward to having you come back. Yeah, exactly.
Come on back. Oh, and have a couple drinks with your dinner because it's good to drink while you're eating.
That's right.
It's good for digestion.
Yeah, you need to stay hydrated by drinking all that alcohol. Yeah.
All right. And then just at the end of the podcast, you guys had mentioned about how the playing for 20 minutes at the end of the trip can kill your theoretical. Just a quick comment I had was, just don't play with your player's card. If you're going to play a slot, just put your $20 in. Just don't play with the player's card, and that won't affect you, and they'll never know that you played. And you can still play for 20 minutes and have your fun, but not have to kill your theoretical. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and we failed to mention that on the last episode.
You could just play without your card.
Yeah, the whole business was that your average daily theoretical can really be hurt if on, a one day you just play a little bit, like maybe that last day of a trip, you just put $20 through the slot and that's all you do in one day. Meanwhile, you've been gambling like a maniac every other day. It'll kill your average daily theoretical and you won't get as many comps.
And I understand what Josh is saying. Just don't put your card in there and they won't know you played.
Sure.
But if you're going to do that, why not just go to the other casino across the street, play there, get rated, and get maybe some comp stuff from them?
Maybe, sure, yeah.
Right? I mean, seriously, it's the same deal, unless you don't want to walk across the street.
Yeah.
And I'm probably one of those people who wouldn't walk across the street.
Well, and the example we gave is like, okay, everybody in your group's going to use the restroom. You just want to kill time, right? Something like that. But
if you're doing that. But if you're just going to play, like, say, on a Sunday morning, I'm only going to play an hour and a half, and then I got to catch a plane. Instead of just giving them the business and not putting your card in and hurting yourself, why not just walk to the next casino and, or get in your car rent a car or cab and go to some casino close to the airport, play there and get some comp.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, of course. And this kind of brought up another topic too. And I talked a little bit on Facebook with listener Kyle, and I actually posted something in the Wizard of Vegas forum as well. There was a question as to whether or not your average daily theoretical is affected by non-gambling action, like using your Players Club card to get into the Diamond Lounge,
right,
or to buy something in the gift shop,
something
right?
that shows
like
you're
that.
in the casino,
right? Or just to be there for a hotel stay, right? Something like that. And it's interesting because nobody really knew for sure, and we got a lot of different opinions from different sources. Now, Kyle actually asked his Caesars host, hey, if I go to, a property and I just go to the Diamond Lounge, does that count as a day as far as my average daily theoretical? Now, his host said, no, it doesn't. We'll just deduct your points, that you use to pay for a meal or go into the Diamond Lounge, whatever, it needs to do. But it doesn't affect your ADT. I question that.
Big time. And no offense to the hosts or people we know who may be listening, but you get so many different answers when you ask a question like that. Yeah. And there probably isn't a good answer until it happens.
Yeah, right. And you actually see it happen. But it's so true. A lot of hosts want to answer your question. They don't want to say, oh, I'll look into that for you, or make it, look like they don't know. Someone will just answer right away, here's what it is. Yeah. And it may not be.
And they may not preface it with, this is what I think happens. Yeah. And they may not know.
But it makes sense that you would be counted a day, because how is, going to the Diamond Lounge and not playing better than just playing $20 through a slot?
Right.
You're in the casino. How come playing nothing doesn't hurt you, but playing $20
Funny thing
does
is
hurt you?
you and I have gone plenty of times to a casino and not played anything.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I've gone to pick up my dad.
Yeah, right.
Hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And while I'm in there, I take my daughters and my wife and we have a buffet.
Right. So you haven't gambled.
And my dad's playing. I don't gamble. I just go and have a buffet. I use my card to get my 2 free buffets. Yeah. I pay for the other 2 with my points.
Right.
And we have a buffet, and then, we grab my dad and leave. And I didn't play. We just ate breakfast or brunch. Probably counts against me.
Yeah, I would say players beware. We cannot get a definitive answer. And who knows, between players clubs, there might be different rules, but just be aware that if they know that you're on property somehow, that might count against your average daily theoretical, even if you don't gamble.
Even if I wear a fake mustache and a beard and
you need a different card, Dr. Mike. Okay, it's not like they're taking a picture of you and it's like, here's Dr. Mike. That'll happen next year. They'll have that technology next year. Right?
Yeah. You could go through a DNA scanner and it'll.
Right.
Oh yeah,
he's here.
His DNA's here.
That's right. Your average. You just see it clicking down. You go online as soon as you step through.
Pretty soon, I owe them. You're in the negative. You owe us $500.
One of our listeners, Robin, he runs a website called NE Time Gambling. It's the letters NE Time Gambling. It stands for New England Time Gambling.
Okay.
And he
.com.
.com, yes. And he actually posted an article about ADT here too recently. So I'll link to that in the show notes. But thanks for that, Robin. All right. Let's hear from Ian.
Hi, Mark, Dr. Mike. My name's Ian Dunk. I'm actually calling from Vegas, but I'm from Leicester in England. Found your podcast, it was mentioned on 500. I've been a listener of 500 for a number of years, and I've got to say, I think your podcast is excellent. So I've listened to I'm working my way through all the back podcasts, and thought I'd give you a call since I'm in Vegas. Just wanted to ask 3 questions. The first one is, we've been at the sports book. We bet on horse number 1, and was told we can get horse number 1A as well. So my question is, why do you have 1 and 1A, and yet it counts as 1 bet?
Okay, great question. Yeah, we haven't talked about this.
Yeah, we failed to note that.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about it.
No, I don't think we have.
But this happens quite often. I mean, gosh, we go to Del Mar. Anytime we go to Del Mar, there's probably one race.
At least one, if not 2 or 3
where
every
this
day.
is the case. It's called coupling. So 2 horses that actually share the same number as far as a bet goes are called coupled horses. And yeah, they would show up as like 1 and 1A in the program.
Right.
So now why do they do this? They do it whenever 2 horses in the same race share some kind of common connection. For example, 2 horses have the same trainer, or 2 horses are from the same stable, right? And the idea here is to preserve the integrity of the race, right? Since they've got this common connection.
So one horse wouldn't be doing something so the other horse could win.
Yeah, something like that. Like if they weren't coupled, right? And they were going, let's say one was like a 2-1 favorite, right? And then another was like a 10-1 underdog.
Right.
Well, maybe they would kind of work in cahoots, right? Maybe the 2-1 favorite might kind of try to block some of the other horses out.
Right. So the 10-1 could get in there
and maybe win, right? Hold the 2-1 back. And so the 10-1 could win.
Right.
And then there's some hanky-panky going on. So what they do is they will couple horses that have something in common to prevent that kind of thing from happening.
Typical when there's coupling, there's hanky-panky.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that is. Couples usually hanky-panky.
Yeah, that's true. So, different jurisdictions have different rules about coupling, but it's pretty common. And you're actually getting two horses for the price of one, supposedly, but the odds are adjusted accordingly.
Right. And usually one of the horses is a dog.
Right. I find that when horses are coupled, rarely do either one of them finish in the money.
Right.
That's been my experience.
That's been my experience too. I usually stay away from them.
Yeah.
A second question relates to slots. So if, for example, we're playing slots and you end up in a bonus round and you're given, say, a selection of 8 boxes, is it already predetermined what I'm going to win? So if I press box 1 or I press box 3, the win is going to be identical because it's already been predetermined.
Okay, another good question. Surprising. This might surprise some people. The answer
surprises me.
No, your win is not predetermined.
Right.
So it really matters which box you select. So like in Ian's example, where 8 boxes appear on the screen in a bonus round, the slot will randomly assign winning amounts to all of the boxes. That's all random, right? It gets randomly assigned.
But each box has a different amount.
Right.
Depending on which one you push is what you get.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Now, the total of those amounts might be different from bonus round to bonus round.
Right.
Sure. So you may not have a box that's going to be $10,000 every bonus round, something like that. Right. But it really does matter. Each box is assigned a value before you choose. So if you choose box number 1, you will end up with a different amount than if you had chosen box number 3.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So,
which is interesting to note. I am probably the most unlucky person in the world because I always seem to get the smallest amount no matter which box I choose.
I think what they do is when you come into the casino, they run a DNA test on you, and then the slots are reprogrammed
they can tell by my hand,
to always give you the smallest amount.
Underneath my box is the smallest amount, no matter which box I pick.
You're the exception. I'm glad you brought that up.
I feel better thinking that. I know it's not true, but it's what I'm going to believe.
Okay, sounds good.
And the third question is, I was trying to get some bets on the Open Golf. Why can't I do each-way betting in the United States? For example, we're big sports bettors in England, and you can bet on a golfer to finish first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. One bet for first, and the second bet is, of course, to cover the other places. Can't do that in Vegas, and just wondering why. Anyway, I may call back again if I get any observations in Vegas, but the bottom line is you're both very engaging people, really enjoy the podcast, don't change the format, and thank you for telling me what the sound was when you say the telephone number followed by wages. The only question is it a tennis ball?
Thanks very much, Ian. Very nice of you. Yeah. So when we play that little clip of Mike's daughter saying 9512 wagers, you can hear there's a couple of clicks at the end. And we were saying earlier in an earlier podcast that it was just a ball that one of them was bouncing, and I didn't really notice when I was recording. It wasn't a tennis ball.
It wasn't a tennis ball.
It was like some big hard plastic ball.
It's a big hard plastic. Yeah,
it wasn't
I don't know.
like a soccer ball or anything. It was just some hard.
It's just one of those goofy balls that you get.
Yeah.
And she was just bouncing it.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know. Some kind of strange.
They play tennis, and that's funny. It wasn't a tennis ball, but it was a hard ball.
Okay. So Ian's question about each-way betting. First, let's explain what an each-way bet is, because many listeners are probably not familiar with it. Okay. Each-way bets are available for sports with several number of competitors. So like horse racing or a tennis tournament or a golf tournament or even a sports team tournament like the World Cup, something where there are,
where there are multiple
people that,
right. It wouldn't be like a baseball game with two teams playing.
Not like a single game. You wouldn't make
game,
right. So an each-way bet is actually two bets. One bet is that your pick will win. And the other bet, called the place bet, is that your pick will place somewhere within the top finishers.
A predetermined amount of top finishers?
What does that mean? Somewhere in the top finishers. The number of top finishers for an each-way bet depends on the sport, the number of competitors, and maybe even the sports book. Okay? Now, for something like the Open Golf Tournament that Ian was talking about, it has a lot of competitors. Each bet typically considers the first 6 places the top finishers.
Okay.
Okay. Other things like horse racing might only consider like the first 2 or 3 places as the top finishers.
Right, because there's fewer horses in the race than,
right.
I think in the Open there were 154 golfers, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, right. Yeah. So going back to Ian's example, and this will hopefully kind of make it clear. If you were to make an each-way bet on one of the golfers in the Open, you would actually be making 2 bets. One, that the golfer would win, and the other, that the golfer would finish in the top 6.
Okay.
Okay, and again, that number might be top 4 if you're talking about a horse race or something with fewer, but for a big open field, top 6 is typically what you'll see. Okay. The win bet is going to pay more than the place bet.
Sure.
Right? Kind of like in regular horse racing.
It's all or nothing. Either win or you don't.
Right. For an each bet that pays for the top 6, the place bet might pay 1/4 of what the win bet would pay. Okay, so the win bet pays more. Place bet for 6 places usually pays about 1/4. Okay, so let's use a real solid example. Let's say you bet on Zach Johnson before the tournament started. He was the one who ended up winning the tournament. Right?
Great tournament, by the way.
Oh, I know.
It was a great tournament.
It really was.
I mean, I was just on the edge of my seat because I wanted Spieth to win.
Yeah, everybody was
because
pulling for him,
then he has a chance for the Grand Slam.
I know, and if he had just parred the 17th hole, right, all you had need to do was par those last 2 holes. Yeah, it was a great tournament.
It was a great tournament, and then also all the other golfers were so up and I mean, it's like one day they were on, the next day they weren't. It was a very exciting tournament, and the weather added a lot to it. So all in all, I think that was one of the most exciting. I watch golf quite a bit. That was one of the most exciting ones I've seen in quite a while.
That was great. Okay, so again, let's say you bet on Zach Johnson. His odds before the tournament were 80-1. Okay, so if you made a $10 each way bet on Johnson, which would actually be $20 total, right? You're making a $10 bet to win and a $10 place bet to come in the top 6. Okay. The win bet would have paid $800, and the place bet would have won 1/4 of that, or $200. So your total win would have been $1,000. 800 plus 200, $1,000. Right? Okay.
Now, if you had done the same thing on Spieth.
Well, let me give Jason Day as an example instead of Spieth, because Spieth went off initially at 9-2, and I don't want to kind of confuse. I want to use a better example.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jason Day. Okay, he came in 4th. All right. Let's say you bet $10 on Jason Day. He went off at 28-1 before the tournament. Okay. Let's say again, it's $20 total, 10 to win and 10 for the place bet.
Right.
The $10 win would lose because he didn't win, right? But you would win the place bet. Okay. So again, he went off at 28-1. So $10, 28-1 divided by 4, because you win about 1/4 of the
280 divided by 4.
By 4, that's $70.
Right.
Okay. So you'd win $70 for that. Subtract the $10 that you lost on the win bet. Your profit is $60.
Okay.
Right. Now it's interesting because that place bet, that second bet, you would win no matter what place the golfer finishes in. So
as long as he's in the top 6.
Yeah. So if Jason Day had come in second, that would have been the same as coming 4th, right?
How does it work? Do you know how it works? Like Jason Day tied with Spieth for 4th.
Right. Okay. I don't want to get into ties. I was afraid you were going to ask that. Okay. And yes, I do have the answer for you, but I am not going to muddle this conversation.
Okay.
We're just going to move through it. All right.
So it's not as clear cut as you made it sound.
In this example, it really was. Okay. Because Spieth and Jason Day came in 4th place. They tied, but there were still players after them going up to 6th place. Let's just drop it. Okay. Everything I've said is true. Okay? Let's move on. Okay.
We're going to get phone calls about this.
Now, back to Ian's question. Now, each way bets are very popular in the UK. They're great because you can win a lot if your pick wins, especially in like a golf tournament where, there's some pretty long odds, right? But even if your pick doesn't win, you still get kind of, you call it a consolation,
right?
As long as your pick comes in within the top finishers, right?
Right.
we have no idea why each-way bets are not offered in the United States. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe the casinos don't think they'd get enough action on them.
Oh, they get a ton of action.
I think so, but maybe it's just because nobody here really has heard of them, and it's
Look at NASCAR. NASCAR would be the perfect example, right?
Yeah,
Every week you could bet NASCAR. Mm-hmm. You could take your favorite driver, bet him to win, and then if let's say you're betting on Jimmy Johnson, well, chances are he's going to come in the top 6,
sure,
right? Maybe the casino's afraid they'll lose money.
Well, see, but something like that, though, his odds would probably be so low,
right?
That you may not make your money back if you actually end up.
That's true.
He doesn't win and you just place, right? So, I mean, that's a risk when you're betting the favorite, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Now, as far as we know, there's no reason that Vegas couldn't offer each-way bets. There's no law or anything. I don't see why they couldn't, but for whatever reason they don't. And I would have to say, at least at this point, it's because people in the United States just aren't familiar with it.
That's probably the biggest reason right there. Yeah. People just don't know there's a bet.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the call, Ian. All right. One last call.
One last thing.
Yeah.
I want to know who Ian picked. He wanted to bet on the golf tournament. Who was he picking?
Oh, we'll have to find out.
I mean,
let us know. Ian.
Yeah,
let us know who you bet on.
I'd like to know who you bet on.
All right. Let's hear from Al from San Diego.
Hey, you can bet on that. It's Al from San Diego. Long-time listener. Love what you guys do with your stats and this and that and total play volume. Blah, 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 blah. Love it. I'm an old-school card counter. Love your show. Been listening, I think, since episode 5. But who cares about that? How do you get Comic-Con tickets 3 years in a row and always go to the best events? You tell me how to do that. I'm done with the fire bet talk. Done with whatever these blackjack side bet stuff you get into. How do you get Comic-Con events every year? And now you go to Hall H and you go to the concert. That's like winning a lottery. Literally, I mean, you had a 10%, less than 10% chance of getting that golden ticket. I didn't even know how you did it. And I need to know if you cheated because I'm very suspect. All right. See you guys at Vince. But I'd love an answer to my question. Take care.
Okay. Yeah. Comic-Con. Let's talk about Comic-Con.
All right.
Okay. Because there's actually a tie-in, a gambling tie-in this year.
Yes.
With
we actually had a gambling.
But here, let's talk about getting tickets. Now, to get tickets, the first thing you have to do, you have to go onto the Comic-Con website and sign up for a Comic-Con member ID. It's free. You just give them an email address and you have to sign up for this ID before you can even buy tickets online.
Okay.
Now, if you attend Comic-Con one year, you get first chance to buy tickets for the next year. So it's sort of like being an actor in Hollywood. You need an agent to get a job, but you have to have a job to get an agent. That kind of thing, right?
Chicken and egg thing.
But if you went 1 year to Comic-Con, you'll get the first shot. There's a day where they send you an email. Okay, we're going to start selling tickets this Saturday at 9 a.m. Be sure you log in and you can do that. So, and then later on, they actually open up tickets to everyone. Again, as long as you have this Comic-Con member ID. But people who attended get first shot, and then like a couple months later, they open it up to the general public. So that's how you do it. Now,
that's how you get them.
That's how I get them. Now, I've been lucky because the last 3 years, they kind of randomize how, when you log in, whether you're going to be, in this queue, where you are going to be in this queue to buy tickets. And we've been very lucky in the last few years. We've been able to buy tickets every year, right?
Yeah, because I do know people who are in the same situation as you, been there before and still didn't get tickets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. Yeah. We've been very lucky. Now, that's how the common man does it.
Yeah.
Okay. Another way that you can do it is be a stinking 7-star player and then just go to the casino and have your host come up and say, hey, do you want Comic-Con tickets?
Yeah. And in order to do that, you have to go every week and take it up the behind. and then they're more than happy to give you some Comic-Con tickets.
So that's what happened to you. Yeah. You just, like a week before. Oh, Mike, you want some Comic-Con tickets?
Yeah, sure. I'll have some.
Yeah.
And we went. We really enjoyed it, actually.
Good.
It was a little hard getting the tickets.
Really?
I will say that. Because we had to pick them up on that Wednesday when it started.
Right. There was like a preview night that Wednesday night. Yeah.
And we had to pick them up at the casino. And I'm at work. So my wife goes up there with my daughters to pick them up.
And that's like an hour away.
It's an hour away, right? So she gets the girls, goes up there to get the tickets. And they were supposed to be there by 2. And the Comic-Con on Wednesday night, the preview night, started like at 6.
Right.
Well, the tickets didn't end up getting there till like almost 5.
So wait, she got up. What time did she get
there
to
at
the
2:30.
And she had to stay till 5?
She stayed till 5, almost 5. And then she had to drive home in traffic.
Oh, my gosh. And she's got your daughters with her, right? At a casino.
Yeah, they weren't happy. They sat in Starbucks. They had a lot of Starbucks. But, and the reason is because the person picking up the tickets had to go down and get them, and there's long lines.
So the person getting the tickets went down to San Diego, basically where you live, to get the tickets and then drive them back. Oh my gosh.
It was kind of a fiasco, I guess I'll say. Right, sir. But it all worked out. We got tickets and we went to things. So, it was good.
Now, it's funny because you and I, we never saw each other at all Comic Con.
No, we didn't. Well, it's a lot of people and we were doing different things.
Well, yeah, and you had to work the first few days because you didn't even know you were going until like a week beforehand.
Right.
Well, I went on that first full day, that Thursday, and my wife and I went to a panel. And this is where the gambling comes in. We went to a panel for a new TV show called The Player.
I've seen a lot of ads for that.
Have you really?
In the last week. Oh, I saw 4 ads for it last night.
Oh, okay, great. I haven't even seen an ad for it yet.
Oh, yeah. There were 4 ads last night during, it's on NBC.
Yes.
So they were advertising it big during the 2 hours of America's Got Talent.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's coming to NBC this fall. It stars Wesley Snipes and Philip Winchester. And we were able to see the pilot. They showed the pilot to us. That's one of the fun things about going to Comic-Con is, seeing all this stuff early.
Sure.
So here's the premise of the show. The premise is that there is this society of super rich people who secretly wager on crimes. This big secret society of this bored rich people, and they're actually wagering on crimes. Now, Wesley Snipes plays the so-called pit boss for these people. And Philip Winchester plays a security expert who tries to prevent certain crimes from happening.
So they're wagering that the crime's going to happen and he's trying to stop it?
Yeah, they're either wagering that he's going to be able to stop the crime or that the crime is going to go forward.
Right.
Right? And they get odds on whether or not
so in some episodes he'll stop the crime and some he won't?
I don't know. See, that's a good question. I don't know.
Because, if he does, it's much better if he doesn't. Like, oh, crap, I lost that bet. I thought he could stop it, and he doesn't.
That's what I'm assuming is that some criminals are going to get away. Otherwise, just bet on him every time.
Right. It would be easy bet.
And that's where the name of the show comes from. He's called the player in this situation, right? I thought it was very entertaining, and my wife did as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of action, a lot of humor, and Wesley Snipes in particular steals the show, especially in one scene. I'm not going to give anything away, but
so he's making a rebound from his
and we got to see both of them were there at the panel, to answer questions. Well, actually, they didn't have time to answer questions, but they talked, to the audience about the show. It looks like every episode is going to be like kind of a self-contained story, and then there's also an overarching story that's going to span, the whole season about this whole society.
There always is. It's like the Blacklist. You can watch a single episode, but really they all loop together.
Exactly. I'm not going to give away too much of the plot of the pilot because there are some things that happen, and I want people to watch it. I definitely would recommend it. I'm hoping that it'll kind of catch on and really be a consistently good show. It is set in Las Vegas,
right?
Like typical Las Vegas TV shows, there are gaffes. Like as far as kind of where things are located in Vegas, like there's one scene towards the beginning that takes place on Fremont Street. Yeah. It's clearly Fremont Street.
Right.
And they later refer to it as the Strip. Yeah, something that happened on the Strip, right? So there's stuff like that's going on.
Well, that always happens.
And the premise is pretty outrageous, right? A secret society of rich people betting on crime, but
outrageous.
But anyway, we got a real kick out of it. So I hopefully it'll turn out to be a good show in the long run. But,
it'd be nice to see a lot of Vegas scenery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Hopefully, although they did say a lot of it's filmed in Los Angeles, but they like their second unit goes to Las Vegas to get some of the shots and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story while we're talking about Comic-Con that happened to us. So on that Saturday, my wife and daughters and I are walking around, and we're inside the convention center looking at booths. And at the far end, they had a Walking Dead exhibit.
Yeah.
And they had some people made up as zombies that were kind of behind a glass partition, like they had been captured or they were in a building. And they had it kind of roped off.
Did they look pretty good?
They looked great. I mean, they were obviously actors who had professionally done makeup.
Okay, good.
Right. It wasn't just, some kid you see dressed up. Right. I mean, it was professionally makeup. So they looked great.
Yeah.
And people were going up as I did. and standing next to the rope, and then the zombie would kind of reach out like he was going to grab you, and my wife's taking the picture.
Yeah.
So while I'm doing that, my daughter and wife, they're a ways back. They're 10 feet back.
Yeah.
My wife takes the picture, and then I go back, and I'm standing there talking to them. Well, some of the zombies would wander out of their little area and out into the crowd, just kind of walking around, right? And unbeknownst to us, one who was particularly gory looking. I mean, it was very bloody, and he was like freshly dead. And so he's walking out, and I had my face looking at the exhibit, and my daughters are standing on my side. The zombie came from behind, and he walked up, and he just put his head kind of on my shoulder, like he was going to bite my neck or something, right? And I thought, well, what's this? And I look, and my daughters at the same time look up, and they see this gruesome zombie out, right? Yeah. And they screamed so loud. It was embarrassingly loud. And my one daughter, she's just like, and she starts crying. She just melts down and starts crying. And my other daughter just, she's just screaming and screaming and screaming. And there was a lady standing next to us. She's freaking out because she thinks the kids have been hurt or something. Like, why would they be screaming? So the lady's going crazy. My daughters are going crazy. My wife and I are laughing hysterically because, and I'm trying to tell him. And the zombie guy, the funniest thing is he jumped.
Right. It scared him.
It scared him because he was just, they do that all the time and they don't get that reaction, right? And oh my God, they were scared to death. And we just hurriedly left, and everyone's looking. We're walking away. We were almost at the other side of the convention center, which is huge, and they're still crying. We don't want to go back. We don't want to go back. And they know it's fake. They're not.
Still, it was a shock to their system. It was just
a shock that he was so close to them.
Oh man, that's something else.
We're never going to forget that my whole life. And,
that's great.
You feel like a terrible parent because all you can do is laugh.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Just laughing. They're just bawling. Tears are rolling down their eyes.
All right. I want to continue to talk about Comic-Con. We're kind of going to go off topic here. No more gambling talk, because I do want to talk about Comic-Con a little more, and especially something that I was able to experience that was just great. So anybody who's been to Comic-Con knows that Hall H is like the big ticket, right? It's this big auditorium, seats about 6,500 people, and it's where all the big panels are, and everybody wants to get in. Now, typically, what you have to do to get into Hall H is like camp overnight. Right. I mean, that's what it's like, is like, the day before, find a spot, prepare to camp overnight, to get in for the next day, right?
My wife wanted to go to something, and then, it's just like, no, we're not camping overnight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You have to really want to go.
So I was looking through the schedule, and it turned out that the panels in Hall H on Friday were going to include The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and Star Wars Episode 7. I'm a fan of The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. And, oh my gosh, Star Wars Episode 7. I mean, that's going to be the biggest panel of the convention, right?
Sure.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought, well, I've never been to Hall H before. I've never done it because of how long you have to wait, right? And I thought, this year I'm going to do it. Now, I knew that our friend Lyndon, who comes to our home game, was going to Comic-Con, and that he had some friends, and he'd been to Hall H before. Okay. So I talked to him beforehand, and I said, hey, listen, let's kind of work together to maybe get a spot to get into Hall H for Friday.
People don't mind if one person holds spots for several people who show up later.
For the most part, right. But that is fine to hold places in line. Everybody does it. It'd be impossible for everybody, to sleep over that kind of thing. Right. So anyway, we talked on Thursday and said, okay, let's keep a track. Let's see how people are lining up on Thursday. And then we'll decide when we need to kind of go get in line, right? So I get a text from Lyndon at about noon.
On Thursday.
And he's saying, that he's heard that several thousand people are already in line. Several thousand, right? So he immediately went to get in line. Okay. And when he actually got there, he said, okay, it's maybe 1,000 people. But the line was,
is growing.
Fairly big already at noon the previous day.
Okay, right.
So I said, okay, good, Lyndon. Yeah, hold that space here and I'll catch up with you a little bit later. So I did some more things during the convention, and I caught up with him about 5:30. And sat with them. And while we were there, I went and got some dinner for both of us. And in the meantime, his brother showed up and a friend of his brother. So there were 4 of us in line. And the reason we all needed to be there that night was because at 8:30, again, the night before, they were handing out wristbands to get into Hall H.
Okay.
So we all needed to be there at 8:30.
So you could go home, you could get your wristband and leave?
Right. Now, we theoretically could all leave, but then we'd lose our spot in line.
To get a better seat.
Right. So our idea was, okay, we're all going to get the wristbands. Some of us will go home and some of us will take turns, spending the night. Right. So anyway, all of us are there by 8:30. So by the time they get to us in line to give us our wristbands, it's 10:30.
Wow.
Right. So Lyndon's been there almost a half day.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's 10:30 now we're getting our wristbands, but we have our wristbands. I say, thanks very much. I'm going to head home. Lyndon and his brother, and boy, I got to hand it to them. I owe Lyndon and his brother big time because they're the ones who took turns spending the night there.
They stayed there all night.
They stayed there all night. Right.
Wow.
So I went home, came back the next morning at 7:30 because they said that's when you needed to be in line. But really, I could have shown up at like 9 o'clock. But anyway, 7:30, by like 8 o'clock, all four of us again are there. Right. So we're in line. And while we're killing time, I actually asked Lyndon's brother's friend, I said, I actually missed this whole last season of Game of Thrones. Can you fill me in? I don't mind if it's spoilers. I want to know what they're talking about at the panel.
Right.
So he told me everything that happened on Game of Thrones this last season, and he was incredibly detailed.
Well, that's good. It made time go by.
Oh, it really did, because I'm that happened? Oh my gosh. I haven't read the books, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, right? He was so detailed, it was great. I never could have explained a season of Game of Thrones as well as he did. So anyway, they finally start letting us in probably about 9 o'clock. And it takes a while to get everybody in there, 6,500 people, right?
Right.
But anyway, we finally get a seat. We're in Hall H. I'm really excited. It's my first time in there. So anyway, the first panel was an animation panel. We saw some really good animation from around the world. Then it was The Walking Dead. So that was great. Chris Hardwick hosted the panel, and everybody, loved it. They had most of the main cast there. And so that was real good, talking about the seasons. And they couldn't really talk about what was coming up the next season, but it was very entertaining. And then the next panel was Fear of the Walking Dead, which is the new spin-off series that's coming up. And, we didn't know any of the characters, but the cast was there, and, we're excited about, this show. Next was Game of Thrones.
They had everybody there. I saw them.
No, they really didn't. They didn't have most of the main actors.
Really?
Yeah, they really didn't.
Because I watched it on Conan.
Yeah,
and they had all the main actors.
No, they didn't have like Peter Dinklage, right?
Well, I know.
And they didn't.
They had a lot of the.
They did, but a lot of the main ones weren't there. Okay, but
see, instead of standing in line, I laid in my bed in my underwear and watched them on Conan.
I did the same thing later. But I watched them on Conan too. But again, the Game of Thrones panel was great. Then there was this Entertainment Weekly panel where the moderator was even saying like, well, I know this is why you're here, the Entertainment Weekly panel, right? Everybody knows that Star Wars is coming up
Lisa
next.
Gibbons there?
No, no.
Oh.
No, it was Entertainment Weekly, not Entertainment Tonight.
I know, I just like Lisa Gibbons.
Okay, so finally it's the Star Wars panel. Now I want to preface this by saying something, okay?
All right.
Star Wars came out when we were teenagers, right? I was in junior high. Were you in high school by that time? Okay, but I was in junior high. So talk about a huge event.
77, right?
It was 77, right?
Yeah, I was in high school.
So Star Wars to me as a kid was huge, right? Yeah. And this was back when, big movies would play at the same theater, like for more than a year. Right. Nobody had, VCRs, let alone DVD players or anything, right? If you wanted to go see a movie, you had to go to the theater.
I remember how many times you saw it.
Oh my gosh. There was a period there where every weekend, literally, I was going down on the bus, taking the bus down the Valley Circle Theater down here and watching Star Wars.
Yeah. The greatest thing, and for younger people listening, in those days, they had huge theater with one screen.
Yeah,
and just a huge theater. It was so much fun to be in there with 1,000 people instead of the 150 that are crammed in a theater now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So Star Wars was huge for me. And when Empire Strikes Back came out, got in line, maybe spent overnight. I don't know. That was when I would actually, get in line overnight. But, it was huge. And I'd have discussions about it. It was a big thing to me, right? Growing up, a huge part of my childhood. Now, I became an adult and, the prequel movies were a disappointment. I don't hate them like a lot of people do.
See, people hate them all the time, and I find them interesting.
Yeah, they're fine. They're entertaining. Yeah, right. But, they're still not the original trilogy, right?
No, because it's been, you're used to no second movie's as good as the first, in my opinion, or the third or the fourth,
But anyway, so here we go. Star Wars Episode 7 that's coming out this year that's, going to have the original cast, right? New cast and original cast, but oh my gosh, this is a huge thing. And J.J. Abrams is directing. So anyway, the panel starts.
It's got the big Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, it's not the big. No, I heard she lost weight.
Did she lose weight for this?
I'll continue the story. And here,
all right.
So anyway, J.J. Abrams comes out with Lawrence Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan is a writer. He wrote, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Empire Strikes Back. He'd never been to a Comic-Con before, so it's his first Comic-Con.
Right.
He wrote this screenplay with J.J. Abrams for this new Star Wars movie. They're coming out, they're talking, they're showing some of the special effects that are going to be used, and then they start introducing the new cast. And, it's great to see this new cast, and, we've seen them in the trailer, and, we don't know too much about it. They introduce the new cast. Everybody's very excited. And then Chris Hardwick, again, who's moderating this panel, says, kind of roundabout way, says something like, yeah, who's interested in maybe seeing Carrie Fisher? Right, she comes out. And so now we're thinking, oh boy, Carrie Fisher's coming out. Does that mean we're going to see, Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, right? So Carrie Fisher, yeah, she looked great. She definitely has lost some weight. Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. So she came out. She was very funny, and self-deprecating and what have you. And so she talked for a while, and then Mark Hamill came out.
Did he look good?
He looked great. He had a beard.
Yeah, he has a beard. I saw a picture of him on a magazine. He did not look so good.
Well, he's heavier.
Like 62.
He's heavier, but I mean, he's like an old Jedi now, right? That's it, right? So he's got the beard and everything.
Yeah, and the scar looks good from this auto accident.
And he was great because he, was answering some questions and just taking it very seriously, having a good time. That was great. And then we're thinking,
it's got to be
is Harrison Ford good as that? And finally, it's like, and now Harrison Ford, and he came out. You want to talk about somebody who looked great?
Yeah,
Harrison Ford looked great,
and he's old.
He came out with this huge smile on his face. Came out walking up, waved to everybody, and of course the place is going nuts, right?
Sure.
And Chris Hardwick was asking how he felt. How's your leg? Because he was in that plane crash, right?
He was flying it.
Yeah, right. And no, he said, well, I walked out here, didn't I? Right? He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great. So that's fantastic. So this is like a dream come true, seeing the old cast and looking forward to the movie, and this is going to be great. So I'm thinking, oh man, what a great day. And it's almost 7:00 and my wife was going to come pick me up. Right. And so J.J. Abrams starts talking and said, yeah, I'm sorry we weren't able to bring you a new trailer for this panel, because that generally happens at Comic-Con, right? For a big upcoming thing, They have a new trailer. They didn't have one, right? And so he said, do you like the music of Star Wars? And everybody yeah, we like the music. And so he said, well, how would you all like to go to a concert for Star Wars music?
Nice.
And we're just all like, what? I mean, is this really happening? Sure enough, it's a surprise concert that everyone in Hall H, these 6,500 people, are now invited to, right? And they said, yep, we're taking you to a concert on the Bay, San Diego Symphony. They're going to play a Star Wars concert.
Wow.
These stormtroopers come out on stage, and he says, all right, just follow the stormtroopers out. They're going to take you to this concert, right? So now 6,500 people, I immediately texted my wife and don't pick me up at 7. Don't pick me up at 7. So we all stand up. It takes forever to get out of this hall.
Oh, of course. 6,500 people.
6,500 people, and they give us lanyards as we go out, right? And everybody's piling out. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, Kevin Smith has a panel after this. He probably didn't know about the concert because it really was secret.
Yeah.
And so everybody's leaving Hall H. And as we're leaving, we see the line for Hall H. It's maybe a couple hundred people. And we're thinking, great, Kevin Smith is going to show up for his panel. It's going to be the smallest Hall H panel in history, right? And I guess that is what happened. But anyway, took us forever to get all out there and marched over to the Bay.
That's a little bit of a walk.
Oh, it is. And, plus they're having to stop us because traffic, not like car traffic, but pedestrian traffic, we're crossing, major thoroughfares, right? So we go across. Took us a while to get out there. I periscoped during it. I tried to periscope later, but there were so many people with so many cell phones, it really wasn't going through, right? So anyway, we walk over. They gave us a free lightsaber when we got there.
Wow.
So we go into the crowd. Everybody's waving lightsabers around, and that kind of thing. And we're all excited. They start the concert. First, J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, who I didn't mention, was also on the panel, and all the cast, everybody. At the end, Harrison Ford comes out and he's like limping, using like a lightsaber to limp on because they were kind of making fun of his foot. So if that's all the footage you saw, if you only saw him coming out, you're thinking, oh my gosh, he looks terrible. But he was just trying to be funny. And then they start the concert, and this was just unbelievable, right? It's starting to get dark.
It's right there by the Midway, right? Is that where you went?
No, okay. It's more on the convention center side. Anyway. So we go out and they play, music from the movies, and they're showing scenes from the movie, as it's being played. It's fantastic. And it goes on. And I'm thinking, they haven't actually played the Star Wars theme yet. It's like, oh, that's probably going to be like the grand finale, right?
Sure.
So then they finish one of the pieces, and a quick film comes on the screens talking about, Comic-Con, Star Wars since 1976 when they first announced it in the Comic-Con back there. A nice little montage. And I'm thinking, oh, that's probably, they're going to show that, and then it's going to be the grand finale, right? And sure enough, the conductor goes up and they start, and just as the fanfare for the Star Wars theme comes out, fireworks start going off over the bay.
Wow.
Right. So
who paid for all this?
I don't know.
I mean, to get the symphony there.
I don't know.
J.J. Abrams.
I don't know who did, but
Disney?
Unbelievable, because I'm emotional as it's going on anyway, right? And now here's the Star Wars theme, and fireworks are going off over the bay. Oh my gosh.
We got to find out who paid for this. I'm interested now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Disney.
It was one of the biggest days of my life. I know that sounds silly, but really, that's why I wanted to emphasize how big a deal Star Wars was to me as a kid.
Your fourth best day, getting married, having two kids.
Getting married, having the 2 kids, and then
now this.
Well, hitting the fire bats.
Hitting the fire bats in this.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder when gambling was going to enter this. I'm like, because at the end I was going to say, well, this isn't anything to do with gambling, but we tied it all up.
We tied it all up. Oh my gosh. And plus, I didn't eat during the day because I thought I was going to be eating at 7 o'clock, right? So, I'm spent emotionally. I'm starving. It's like, oh my gosh, what a day. So went home from that. Oh my gosh, best Comic-Con ever.
Could you sleep that night?
I think I fell asleep pretty quickly, actually, because I was just so exhausted. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that was my Comic-Con.
So I hope that answered your question about how do we get Comic-Con tickets?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Al, from San Diego. Hopefully see it, Vince.
Yeah, you just made him feel terrible.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to say thanks to Adam for the very generous PayPal donation. Thanks, Adam. It helps offset the cost of hosting the show, and we really appreciate it. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS, or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Mike, I'm exhausted. Take it away.
All right, I've got something to say. This is very important. It's not quite as important as your Star Wars story, but it is important.
All right.
So we're watching America's Got Talent last night on NBC, as I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And 2 guys were going to come on and sing. Okay. 2 guys from, I think, Atlanta or somewhere. Anyway, as they're telling their story, I turned to my wife and I said, you know what? I'm going to root for these 2 guys to win the whole thing.
Okay.
And my daughter says, why? Do you like their story? And they had a compelling story, kind of a sad story.
All right.
She said, do you like the story? I said, no, that's not it. I'm going to root for them because as I look at them, they look like 2 guys I would like to be at a craps table with. And, I could see myself playing craps with these 2 guys.
Good.
And I turned to my wife and I said, I just had an epiphany. From now on, I am going to judge everybody I meet on whether I could gamble with them.
Excellent.
Could I play craps with them?
Excellent.
Could I sit at a blackjack table with them? Yeah. My wife turns to me and says, yeah, and you have to be able to do it for like 6 or 7 hours because that's your normal session.
Right.
It can't be like they just come and play 10 minutes and leave.
Right.
It's got to be a long session. And I said, yeah, and it will. It'll make my life better and the world better if I only associate with people who I'd like to play, gamble with.
So if you come across somebody who you think would only sit with you for maybe 2 hours, you're not going to associate with them?
Well, I'll be friendly and cordial.
Yeah,
of
okay.
course.
You won't be rude.
But yeah, I'm not inviting them to my house.
Okay, good.
Like these 2 guys, I'd have them over. They seem like good guys to play crafts with.
All right. Something to live your life by. That's excellent advice, Dr.
That's just the way to do it. Just think about that. Every time you meet somebody, would I gamble with them? Yeah, I guess I would. Okay, I like them.
We're friends.
We're friends.
All right.
Everyone does that, the world will be better.
Excellent. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.